Warm-up sets do not improve lifting performances, new study finds. Henselman's going to say, I'm just presenting the data. I'm just presenting studies. But he knows better. He knows better. Science-based training, it's gone too far. And here's the problem. The majority of the science-based training, it's based on studies. Most of these studies, plain and simply, are bullshit. They don't have enough participants, they don't do it for a long enough period of time, and they extrapolate things that they can't extrapolate. Ben_Yanes, he explains some of this.
Science-based content creators now make exercise tier lists, putting exercises like lunges in the worst possible category, pistol squats in the best possible category. And they do this and talk about this as if that was the actual function of science. As if science could just decree universally that these are the best exercises and these are the worst. But anyone who's built muscle and who takes the gym seriously knows that all of this stuff is just fluff. It's entertainment. It's not actually education.
Just because some science-based lifter says this or says that and puts a PubMed article and says,
well, here's my proof.
It's not proof. And some of these guys, they do it on purpose. They don't give a shit. They act like they give a shit. They come across as giving a shit.
Oh, I'm just reporting the studies.
As if they don't know any better. And so they're doing it on purpose. And why? Well, it's clickbait. And so have I ever clickbaited? Absolutely. And so they're doing the same thing, only to trick you into believing them. But the problem is they clickbait you into reading these articles and listening to them, but they don't actually say in the video at any time that this is nonsense, that it's bullshit. And so, case in point, let's look at Henselman. This guy, he's one of the worst. Probably getting a following from doing all this bullshit too. Let's see. Henselman. Menno Henselman. He's amassed over 280,000 followers by reading studies and presenting them to you. The latest one that I saw, which literally pissed me off, and I'm like, I'm going to make a video because everyone that watches this is going to agree with me. I don't care who you are. Just because a study said this doesn't mean that it's true. Warm-up sets do not improve lifting performances, new study finds. Henselman's going to say, I'm just presenting the data. I'm just presenting studies. But he knows better. If a new study comes out and says that doing cardio, walking and so on, 150 minutes a week, that dramatically shortens your life. I'm not going to make a video and agree with it because it was published in a PubMed. I don't care. Sometimes you have to use your actual brain and make sense of things. Absence of evidence isn't the same thing as evidence of absence. Just because there's no significant difference between this and that doesn't mean that it doesn't actually work. Warming up to improve performance, effects of different specific warm-up protocols on neuromuscular performance in trained individuals. According to most personal training certifications, warming up is a near sacred part of a workout. Thou shalt warm up thoroughly before exercise. Yet a new study, preprint, found warm-up sets may not be necessary to enhance performance. How many of y'all think you shouldn't warm up? Okay, and so you're a power lifter, you're a bodybuilder, whatever, and you go to the gym and you do perhaps a plate on each side, then 2 plates, 3 plates. You're warming up for your 1 rep max. But the new study says there's no difference. Just go and go all out. Why warm up? Walk into the gym cold, get under the squat rack and do your hardest set.
What's your best 5 plates? Go for it. Just do it.
Does that make sense? How many of you think that's smart, but yet the study says it doesn't matter? And so science-based lifting now says you don't need to warm up. You need to warm up. And so the researchers had groups of trained lifters perform 4 sets of leg presses and bench presses to failure at 10 RM loads 3 times after different warm-ups. Total repetitions achieved were nearly identical after each warm-up. There was no statistical effect of the warm-up type on performance. When you don't have enough people in the study and it's not done long enough, or perhaps you just have a bunch of beginners, perhaps they're not elite level athletes, what you discover from that it doesn't apply in the real world. I mean, if you gave everyone one pill of testosterone and you didn't even have them work out and you had only 12 people in the study and you used an in-body scam to see if it worked, would you say that that is proof that it doesn't work? And so if you have a few people in a study and they're doing warm-ups on the leg press and the bench press, they're not professional bodybuilders, they're not powerlifting trainers, and you do 10 reps and you say, hey, we're going to warm up differently. Can you lift as many on 10 reps as if you did previous warm-ups? And if there's no statistical change, doesn't mean it didn't improve them, but it wasn't statistically significant enough to prove it. Does that mean you shouldn't warm up? I'm asking you. Hopefully you know better. Some prior research has found positive effects on warming up on performance, but the effects are inconsistent and small, especially for higher rep work. Is everyone now going to read this and go to the gym and skip their warm-ups? Why ride a bike for 10 minutes to increase your heart rate, to get a light sweat going on, to perhaps prevent injuries? Because this study says you could lift just as much without warming up. Can you really though? Like, if you're an experienced trainer in the gym and you're used to warming up all the time, should you suddenly stop? Ambient temperature also plays a role, as most warm-up mechanisms are literally mediated by body temperature, which can improve things like muscle elasticity and nerve conduction velocity. Improved tissue elasticity may reduce injury risk too, which is arguably even more important than performance. However, there's no solid research actually showing warming up reduces injury risk either. So let's all abandon warming up. I mean, what is Menno Henselman's goal of posting this?
Hey, there's no evidence that warming up prevents injuries.
For the last 100 years, we've been doing it all wrong. Why would you waste your time? Imagine how much time we're all going to save. And so I can't wait till Larry Wheels goes in his next training program with someone and says,
Warming up? Did you not see Menno Henselman's research? You don't need to warm up. What's your 1 rep max? Is it 550? Well, let's put 555. This is amazing.
the Trend Twins.
Why would you want to warm up? Let's just put on a heavy ass weight. What did you do last week? 4 plates for 10? Okay, today we're going to go for 4 plates for 11. Why would you warm up? It's just going to tire you out. What are you, Eddie Hall?
Eddie Hall, he doesn't need to warm up. I mean, he went for that run. Remember, he can run 7-minute miles. He says, no problem. But I don't want to warm up. I don't want to tire myself up. The warm up was a little bit of jogging and walking. That would tire him out. But bro, he can run 7-minute miles, of which he cannot. How many of you out there think that it would be stupid to start skipping your warm-ups? To go to your heaviest set right away with no warm-up whatsoever? Because after all, the research doesn't prove that it prevents injuries, and so why bother? And so on his last page, for more evidence-based fitness lessons, subscribe to my free 16-lesson email course on how to build muscle, lose fat, and get stronger. He is promoting this. He believes it to be true. He's saying this is evidence-based research. How many people were in that study? Is it actually evidence? I mean, why don't I just start publishing my own research based on just myself? Hey, I'm one of one. I went to the gym and this was the ideal way to warm up. Would y'all listen to me? It's just myself. Should you not use a variety of people? Athletes, professionals, powerlifters, bodybuilders, everyone. And really do some research. Perhaps 100 people in the study and do it for a year. And discover which group had more injuries, which group had less. Who lifted more weight? Who lifted less? How often does Menno Henselman go to a powerlifting competition? Do you not think that every single one of them warms up? You don't think that someone at some point has actually tried not to warm up? I'm sure most people have gone to the gym, they didn't have time to warm up, and they put on a heavier weight and they give it a try. How did it feel? It felt heavy. You go to the gym, if I don't start with squats 1 plate on each side, it feels heavy. Hey, I can squat 3 plates for 10 reps. If I just walk in and put 3 plates on, the first rep, I feel like I can't even squat to parallel effectively. I need to warm up. Just because this research says you don't need to warm up, you'll do just as good, you won't. Beast Mode Jones writes, it would be wise to warm up. Kirk! This bullshit. Editor Steve. Surprise, surprise. Menno yet again posting a study that fails to show a difference in order to push the common error of absence of evidence being the same as evidence of absence. Just because there's no statistical difference between two groups in a study, it doesn't mean that one is not better than the other. If we had a study using creatine, just normal creatine, and we had 10 people in the study, and we had 5 in one group and 5 in the other, and the group of 5 that used creatine, let's say they gained less weight than the group that didn't, are you then going to conclude that creatine prevents you from building muscle? That it hinders your gains? That would be stupid. You'd be thinking, well, it could have just been a fluke. There were only 10 people in the study. The 5 that used creatine just by fluke, perhaps they didn't make as many gains. But if you had 1,000 people in the study, or you did a meta-analysis on 100 different studies, you'd conclude this is an amazing supplement, that creatine actually works. And so are you going to listen to one study that says you shouldn't warm up? This is moronic. Coach Baycarl, what a clickbaity conclusion for a horribly designed study. Okay, been coaching top-level powerlifters for 35 years, but from now on, no warm-ups or preps for a main work. So anyone ready for 300 kilograms straight out of the locker room? It makes no sense. Performance, more like I don't want to get injured. Let's compare injury rates to people warming up versus not warming up, of which Menno Henselman, he actually responds. I'd love to see the data on that. Yeah. What are we going to do? Get a study of 10 people and say, okay, you 5, you warm up and you 5 don't. Then if one person who warm ups actually gets injured, at the end of the study, they're going to conclude that warming up, it causes injury. After all, in a group with 5 people who warmed up, 1 got injured. The group of 5 that didn't warm up, no one got injured. And so conclusively, it's in PubMed now, warming up causes injury. That would be stupid, but perhaps if they used 1,000 people in the study and they did it over the course of 10 years, they could see a difference. But do you really need to? Like, why do we need a study to prove everything? There's common sense. Common sense tells me I should warm up. Are you going to run the 100-meter dash without a warm-up? Guess what? Do we need a study to see how many people get injured when they play baseball on the weekends? They show up to bat, they swing, they get a hit, they sprint, and they tear their Achilles heel. Happens all the time. Or they pull a hammy. These things happen all the friggin' time, even when you warm up. And so imagine not warming up. It's way worse. But Henselman, he's going to convince you that it's science-based lifting and it's evidence-based. The evidence says this. You can cherry pick any evidence that you want depending on how you feel. For example, you could say, oh, Turk Builder Max, it doesn't help you build muscle because the in-body scam, well, that proved it. I used the in-body scam and I had 19.8% body fat. Now, last I checked, you could argue that I'm not 8. Maybe I'm higher. Maybe you think I'm 12. Am I 19.8? I don't think so. And what about the DEXA scam? I'm about to record a video on this as well. Brian Shaw had 15% body fat. I mean, he's 385 pounds. He's at his ideal body weight. He's perfectly healthy. 15% body fat. He's very lean. He's a specimen. Is he really, though? Is he really that lean? How many of you think that Brian Shaw is 15 freaking% body fat? He's not. Or that, get this, his bone density is 1 in 500 million. I mean, Hussein Farhat, he can't even have 1 in a million genetics to put on 45 pounds of muscle in 3 years. That was impossible. But Brian Shaw, 1 in 500 million people have that bone density. Or is it maybe that the DEXA scam is wrong? I mean, after all, how many people have 1 in a million genetics? Do y'all know Omar Usuf? He had his bone density done and he was literally 1 in a million. It was 4.8 standard deviations away from the mean. And so it seems like every second person that does the DEXA scam has a 1 in a million bone density. But If it's really 1 in a million, only 1 in a million should have that, not 1 in 2. And so which is it? Why is it that all of us have extremely impressive bone densities? I myself did it. I was way out of the norm. 3 standard deviations beyond the mean. Is it really possible that I'm a 1 in 10,000 bone density? Every single person that works out, their bone density is through the roof. Or is it maybe possible that it's an error? A measuring error. Henselman also writes, I specifically said there is research that 1 rep maxes are improved with warm-ups. The injury risk reduction is theoretical, but not debunked either. I guess it's not proven. Going for your maximum efforts without warming up hasn't been proven that it's more dangerous than if you warm up. And so why are people warming up before they sprint? Why do people stretch before they do exercise? Why do physical education teachers, of which I did for 11 years, why do we include warm-ups when we go to the gym? Why do we tell people to stretch? Why do we progressive overload? Why do we slowly go harder and harder before we go all out? Why would we do that? It's because it both prevents injuries and allows you to perform better. It's both. You're all going to say that my videos are clickbait. You're going to say that. I see it. But literally, the title on the first page, it says, warm-up sets do not improve lifting performance. But they do. And later, as if anyone's reading all this, how many of you are going to read all this stuff? And way down here at the bottom, you wouldn't sink into a 1 rep max squat or perform a maximal sprint without any warm-up. But higher rep bodybuilding type exercise shouldn't require much warming up. It says shouldn't require much warming up. That's warming up. The title says warm-up sets do not improve lifting performance, but yet they do. They clearly do. It says new study finds. Did the study actually find that? Is that what the study did? Or did he switch the words around, change it around, do a little bit of a hocus pocus and make it look like you don't need to warm up? And so what I'm trying to tell you is just because you see a study say something, it doesn't mean that it's true, especially when it says no significant difference was found. If the sample size was too small or the effects were very minor in comparison, you're not going to see statistically significant differences. And so, for example, if it only improves your performance by, let's say, 1%, do you know how large of a sample size you'd need to be able to prove that it helps you by 1%? It's a lot. 1%. It's almost indistinguishable. But 1% is enough to make the difference between first place and 5th place in almost any competition. 1%. Take 1% off your time in the 100 meters. 10 seconds becomes a 9.9. Do you know how different that will look? 1% more on your bench press. You're doing 500, now you're doing 505. You might think, well, it's not much. But it is compared to nothing. If a brand new creatine comes out, let's call it creatine black, and instead of it being white, it's black, and it helps you 1% more. Do you think that the study is going to show that it improved you by 1%? It's going to say, hey, no significant difference, but does it mean it doesn't work? It could work amazingly well. Everyone gets 1% better. That's amazing. Let's imagine we had a pill and it saves the lives of 1% of people. Probably wouldn't notice it. How do you notice? You give it to 100 people and it saves one person's life. Well, how do you know if it worked or not? It might be a fluke. You have 100 people here, 100 people there. They all take placebo, they all take the magic pill. This saves one person's life. Well, what if 2 people by fluke in the 100 group, they survived and only 1 in this group? You would think, oh, the group that didn't take the pills, they survived better. And so that pill, it actually hurts people. But it saves lives, 1%. 1% of 1 million people, it's 10,000 lives that could be saved. And so only helps 1%. Only 1%, it's nothing. But if you give it to 1 billion people, that is 10 million lives that could be saved. 10 million out of 1 billion. No difference. No statistical significance. But yet it could have saved 10 million lives. And so the next time you see a study, please read it carefully, understand what they're doing, and decide for yourself. Now, remember, if you're looking for coaching, click the link in the description, apply right now. You're going to have FaceTimes with Coach Greg. Going to do my next one on Thursday. If you're looking for blood work to be read, of course, they're going to get that. Diet, training, everything is included. And so apply right now. And for all the various supplements, Turk Builder Max, GO2 Max, GLP Max, Test, Platinum, all of it is on the website. And so head over there right now. I do believe it's in stock. I don't think it's sold out. Code Greg 15% off. And be sure to check out the brand new Signature Series pre-workout and get Blue Lobstered harder than last time. Subscribe, click the bell button, comment to boost the algorithm. Please like the video if you liked it. Don't forget to watch one of those 2 bloops. And until next time, I am out.